Men, welcome to today's video. This is going to be absolutely unreal, right? A massively passionate subject of mine, so hopefully you enjoy it just as much as I do. But my promise to you in this video is I'm going to provide you the pros and cons of 5 different diets people tend to engage in 2024. The ones that I'm going to be covering is Western diet, vegetarian diet, keto, paleo and breatharian. I'm going to provide 3 pros and cons of each. Obviously there's going to be a hell of a lot more than that, but I'm just going to try and keep it really simple, just give you an overview. And my aim with that overview is to help you navigate the one that is best suited to you, or maybe a blend of 2 of them which are best suited to you. It is nutrition, massively interesting subject for me, so I may delve a little bit deeper and I may get emotional during this video. Hopefully not too much. This is going to be a really good one. So if that sounds alright, yeah, sit yourselves down, enjoy. My name is Paul Green, for those of you that have just subscribed. I'm the founder of the Longevity Programme. A few years ago, I used to be in the Parachute Regiment and a physical training instructor in the Parachute Regiment and a Special Forces Support Group operator. Over my time of the past decade, I have trained thousands of elite men across defence, including those in the RAF, the Royal Marines and the Parachute Regiment. But now my sole focus is on gentlemen over the age of 40. Just for fun, I thought it'd be cool if I provided the order in which my opinion, my experience places them 5 different ones. But obviously you're going to disagree with me. So please challenge me and put your order of these 5 things in the comments below, right? So maybe we get a bit of interaction going on this one, gentlemen. Right, okay, the first one. There is a diet, there is a belief system out there called the Breatharianism diet. And that is the belief that you can get enough nutrition from sunlight and you can get enough hydration from the air in which we breathe. Like I said earlier on, I'm going to try not to let emotions creep out here. I'm going to give you the logical pros and cons. There is a belief system and it's very popular, gentlemen, right? Breatharianism often emphasises spiritual practices, meditation, deeper connection to the self and the universe, which can promote mental and emotional well-being. That's a pro. The con: extreme physical deprivation can overshadow any potential spiritual benefits and lead to severe health consequences. Another one: simplicity. Pro of simplicity, claiming to eliminate need for food and water. Breatharianism promises a life free from the complexities of meal planning, grocery shopping and food preparation. Con of this: simplicity comes at a great cost to physical health and is not sustainable for human survival. The last one for Breatharianism: environmental impact. Pro: theoretically, by eliminating food, will drastically reduce one's environmental footprint, addressing the concerns about overconsumption and resource depletion. A con of this theoretical belief is because humans is irrelevant, basically, because humans cannot survive without food and water, making it impractical and dangerous solution to these environmental issues which these people do believe. Gentlemen, I've had many arguments about this belief system, and to be honest with you, my missus has her. She believes this. She believes in this belief system, and I've said to her, I cannot support this. You know, I'm a man. I'm supposed to support my woman essentially in any endeavour that she embarks on. But if I support this, gentlemen, you know, scientifically this is deprivation. Now I have no doubt in my mind that there is a lot of science to suggest the fasting, results of fasting, you know, benefits of fasting, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 day fast, you know, water fast, dry fast, can have massive benefits for detoxification, stuff like that. You know, Ramadan for Muslims, you know, has massive benefits for people's lives. But fasting means the return back to food. One thing I really don't like about the Breatharianism belief system is that they say that they eat for pleasure. So they've got like a little bit of small print, and it's eat for pleasure. Oh, I'm just eating for pleasure. So if you can, you know, get enough nutrition off the sunlight, let's go to the Nevada desert. You'll have plenty of energy, plenty of air to hydrate yourself, and let's do some physical exercise and see how far you can go physically with zero food. You know, ideally, more sunlight means more energy, right? So I've got my reservations about this, but no, I haven't got my reservations. This is last place. Any form of eating is better than this Breatharianism belief set. But that's not to say I am not a fan of fasting. I believe fasting has huge benefits, and it's something that we should probably do every once in a blue moon. Fourth place, the Western diet, the typical Western diet, so the agricultural revolution. It's where we moved away from, you know, like a primitive way of thinking, a primitive, we will eat what we find. And we started to shift our focus in mass producing, you know, wheat, corn, all of this stuff that we could grow. And what it provided us, it was easy calories. So instead of going out and being strong and hunting and stuff like that, we were like, okay, let's just farm and learn how to farm and develop our resources and systems with regards to farming, so that we can have lots of calories here. However, the negative side of that is the calories are of less quality. Fast forward 200 years, and what we see in the shops today is convenience. Pro of convenience is we have a wide range of pre-packaged, ready-to-eat, fast food options that save time. You know, everybody goes on about how busy they are, and do you know what I mean? Supply and demand at the end of the day. If this food didn't work, people wouldn't buy it. These companies wouldn't be extremely profitable, like Nestle and all the rest of it. Massive companies, big food. The reliance on convenience foods often means higher intake of processed foods, which can be low in essential nutrients and high in unhealthy ingredients. Variety. So we've got a wide range of variety of foods available, and that's only expanding. And what you find now in supermarkets, let's say 20 years ago when you were in a supermarket, we didn't have access to all of the fruit and veg. But now we get access to every single fruit, every single vegetable, and they're all from different parts of the world. So we have access to mass variety. And because we have access to mass variety, you've got to think, where have they come from? And how have they got to our supermarket? How long have they been in that supply chain? So how fresh are they? What things have happened to them in order to keep them looking nice and pretty on the shelves for us? I'm not going to dig too much deeper into that. And then a con of the variety is many people tend to consume a limited range of unhealthy foods, leading to unbalanced diet. Yeah, with that all the variety that we have, generally quite a low quality variety, people still choose the ones that boost the hormones the most. Similar to the previous one, it's accessible in many forms in restaurants, supermarkets, and it's very easy for us to actually meet our daily needs without much thought. It's just, we go to the shop, we eat some cereal, we have a sandwich, you know what I mean, just grab something off a shelf, and we kind of get by. And generally, there's no immediate consequence of these decisions. The consequences usually happen about 5-10 years down the line, maybe longer, 15-20 years, because the body is so good at managing with shite. A con of it, easy availability leads to overconsumption. And, you know, I don't know the current statistics, but I know that more than half in the UK are classed as obese. and I think that's even higher. Sorry, I think over half in the UK are classed as overweight. I think over half in the US are classed as obese. Another one for Western diet, health issues. So the pro, because you've got so much abundance of everything, you can kind of, if you're intelligent with it, you can kind of like pick and choose. Right, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that, and you can actually manage pretty well. But it's just information overload a lot of the time. So yeah, you can benefit from the Western diet. You know, all this access, navigated correctly, you can actually 100% have a really healthy diet with it all, especially if you're eating organic, free range, grass fed, blah blah blah. But the huge con with all this is typically people just go for the hormones. And I say hormones, what I mean by hormones is the foods that incur the biggest hit of dopamine. Do you know what I mean? The chocolate, the bread, the cakes, just instant calories, you know what I mean? Sugar, fats, blah blah blah. And obviously that leads to these issues here: obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and certain cancers. Gentlemen, I just want to take a moment to just say thank you. There's new subscribers. Every time I post a video, I'm getting more subscribers. So it does mean the world to me. Thank you for supporting the longevity mission, which is to keep men operating at a very high level, physically and mentally, regardless of age. So please add to this community. Please engage with the comments. You've probably seen on some of the videos previously, I am answering the comments. I do read them all, and I will have conversations with all of you. If you want more of a one-to-one chat away from YouTube comments, then message me on Instagram. Jump on a call with me. I've got a lot of information. I've got a lot of experience that you can benefit from, but you can only benefit from it if you ask me. Do you know what I mean? Shy kids don't get any sweets. Third place, vegetarian diet. So I've placed vegetarian diet above the Western diet. The typical Western diet, just going out and eating what you want. I placed the vegetarian diet above that. So one of the pros is weight management. So vegetarian diets typically can be lower in calories, saturated fats, which can help with weight management and reduce the risk of obesity. A con of this, a lot of people I've seen that eat vegetarian foods, heavily processed cheese, tomatoes, pizza's vegetarian, do you know what I mean? A margarita pizza's vegetarian. Yeah, okay, they blag the system with different breads and stuff like that. So you can actually be a vegetarian and think you're all healthy, but you're actually eating a lot of carbs, like a ridiculous amount of very low nutrient dense carbohydrates that is heavily processed. And what this means by heavily processed, right? It just means the whole version of that food has went through many steps to get into the state in which you are eating it. And I always question myself. I always question people. I'm like, read at the back what you eat. You don't have to know all 50 ingredients of the thing you're eating. Disclaimer: if it's got 50 ingredients, then you probably shouldn't be eating it anyway. But if you can't eat the first ingredient on that list of things, if you can't eat that first ingredient, right, without having a stomach ache, then you shouldn't be eating it. And what I mean by that is, let's say for example a cake or bread. If you can't eat the first ingredient, which will be wheat flour, just literally by itself, and just start chewing it. If you don't eat that and feel great, then there's a real question mark on eating that thing at all. Anyway, the next one for vegetarianism, vegan, not vegetarian, no, it's vegetarian, right? Environmental pros and cons. So a vegetarian diet typically has lower environmental footprint compared to the diet of high in meat. I think in the US, surprisingly, I've heard, I haven't checked this recently, but I've heard cows produce the most greenhouse gases. But then again, am I looking at that through the lens of these Netflix series that have kind of poisoned our brains a little bit? But apparently, a very high contributor to greenhouse gases, whatever the hell greenhouse gases means nowadays, is meat is the methane from the asses of the cows that we eat, because the meat industry within the US is pure scale, and the quality of that is generally really bad. So yeah, fewer resources with the vegetarian diet, but there's obviously the con to that as well, which, you know, a lot of vegetarians don't really like talking about. Most vegetarian foods, plant-based foods, fruit and veg, come from soil. Soil is a breeding ground of death and life, a big circle of life and death. Animals, ants, insects die on the soil eats that nutrients from the food and then puts it back into the roots of the vegetables and fruits, blah, 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 blah. So vegetarians unfortunately don't get away from that fact unless they have ridiculously controlled soils and stuff like that. But if they do that, then they're probably losing even more benefit from the food that they're eating. Next thing for vegetarianism is ethical considerations. I touched on that on the last one, to be honest. But avoiding animal suffering and factory farming practices to align their food choices to their ethical beliefs. Okay, that's fine, but you better make sure that them ethical considerations are not getting crushed by the supply chain in which is required to deliver these plant-based foods to your supermarket. Do you know what I mean? And also the knock-on effect. This stuff, it's an argument. It's an argument that just never gets solved. So if anybody has these arguments, it's more ethical to eat vegetarian food, there's just no winning that battle, because this is equally as legitimate, which says ethical considerations also extend to plant-based diets. Funny thing. And some of the farming practices can harm wildlife and ecosystems and labour. So anyway, I'm not going to attach too much emotion to vegetarianism. It is where it is. I don't mind the odd day of eating vegetarian foods, or the odd meal, but I'm not too interested in it, to be honest with you. Second place, I went for keto. Again, this is just my opinion, gentlemen. Please challenge my opinion and provide your own in the comments. Keto, really effective weight loss. Pro of weight loss for keto diets, highly effective for weight loss, primarily because of its high fat, low carb structure, which helps reduce hunger and increase fullness or satiety. Basically how satiated you are from your foods, leading to a low overall calorie intake. If any of you have ever tried this, right? First of all, the misconception that high fat is bad. If you get this right, you really up your omega-3 intake and you try and reduce your omega-6 intake. If you get this balance of fats correct, you'll have a field day with this type of eating, and it'll really surprise you. What it means by increased hunger is keto is high in fat, high in protein. Protein takes longer to digest, and if it's high in fat as well, it takes even longer to digest because the protein cells and stuff like that are actually surrounded by fats. So what that does is it satisfies you for a lot longer because it takes longer to digest, which reduces the overall calorie intake because you just don't feel hungry. And I'm not going to go too much into that because I'll touch on one of the other points. A con of this, rapid weight loss can sometimes lead to muscle loss, and it may not be sustainable long term. Which, if it's not sustainable long term, then people will go back to the Western diet, and then they'll have a massive bulking season. So another one for keto then is blood sugar control. So a pro of keto in this regard, by significantly reducing carbs, keto diet stabilises blood sugar levels throughout the day, which can improve insulin sensitivity. Beneficial for individuals with type 2 diabetes with insulin resistance. This, for me, this is unbelievable, by the way. This one point here, right, is one of the reasons why most of my first meals of the day are high in fat, high in protein, not much carbs. Because having a stable blood sugar level for hours means I'm not going to get hungry. And I'm bringing my experience into this one. You don't get hungry. When you're not hungry, you're able to sustain, I like to call it mental or brain, you sustain high level of brain function. You're not distracted. You never get distracted because you never get you don't get hungry for hours, and you've got energy to do the tasks that you need to do. So a huge pro is this blood sugar control. Getting rid of the carbs. There's no up and down of blood sugar because of carbs that you're eating. Breakfast, the most important meal of the day, sponsored by Kellogg's. Half an hour later, you're hungry again. And then it's like up and down of blood sugar down, blood sugar up. High performance, essentially. Blood sugar down, I'm starving, I'm going to die. Blood sugar up. Do you know what I mean? It's just this crazy cycle of eating sugar and eating carbs. Diet may be challenging for people with type 1 diabetes or other medical conditions requiring careful blood sugar management, and may increase the risk of ketoacidosis if not properly monitored. The last one, I believe this is for keto. It might not be. Anyway, enhance mental clarity and focus. This is what I touched on earlier on. Basically, when you take carbohydrates out of the equation, you get this steady energy source of fats, and it gets rid of blood sugar up from carbs, blood sugar down, hungry, blood sugar up from carbs. You know, the ups and downs, that's gone. It's sustained throughout the day. Yeah, you don't have any energy bursts, you don't have energy crashes, it's sustained energy throughout the day. And your brain loves fats as well. So when you get the fats right, the balance of fats correct, your brain will be operating at an enhanced level. So yeah, obviously reducing brain fog, with blood sugar and blood sugar fluctuations. Con of this, the start of a keto diet, 3 or 4 days or whatever it is, you struggle. You struggle because your body's like, oh my god, I need carbs. You've been feeding me carbs every meal of every day for the past 20 years. I need carbs. What are you doing? Give me carbs. Give me carbs. And as your body transitions in a state of ketosis, where your body is going to start using fat as its primary fuel source, you do feel a bit under the weather, headaches and stuff like that as your body transitions, because you could argue that it's withdrawals from carbohydrates. So first place, in my opinion, is the Paleo Diet, which is the caveman diet essentially. And this is just nutrient-dense whole foods. And in my opinion, it's only at its best form when the meats that you're eating and the foods that you're eating, the fruit and veg that you're eating, is of the highest quality. You know, like grass-fed this, grass-fed butters, organic fruit and veg. But yeah, I'm just going to rattle through this. So the Paleo Diet emphasises whole and unprocessed foods, like vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, lean meats, fish, are nutrient dense and provide essential vitamins and minerals. The difference from Paleo to Keto, right, is this: fruit and veg. You can eat as much fruit and veg as you want on the caveman diet, whereas Keto limits the amount of sugar you can have. So that's why I think this is massively beneficial. There's some fruit and veggies out there that are just mint. They're just really good for certain things, certain nutrients. Whereas keto will have you you won't be able to eat more than like 5 grams of carbohydrates per day, because that'll tip you out of ketosis, and then you'll start burning carbs as your primary fuel source. Whereas Paleo just says, look, eat good foods. Do you know what I mean? And I just think that is just a really good way to conduct business. Anyway, so the Paleo diet is whole foods. The con of this is the exclusion of certain foods like grains and legumes may lead to a limited variety of nutrients, and I just think this is an absolute blag. It's not a con at all. One thing I would say, there's not really much fruit, nuts and seeds in Paleo, and also it's like eating like a predator, not like prey. So a prey would eat nuts and seeds, and the predator would be eating all this. It's back to our ancestral line. Another one, pros and cons: anti-inflammatory. So The pro is the emphasis on anti-inflammatory foods such as fruit, veg, nuts, seeds that can help reduce chronic inflammation and health-related issues. There's a lot of food out there nowadays on the shelves, especially Western diet type of stuff, that is ridiculously high in omega-6. And when you start to increase the quality of the meat that you're eating and the quality of the fruit and veg, you can actually improve the omega-3, which is an anti-inflammatory acid, and omega-6, which is an inflammatory fatty acid. Get that balance right, your joints will thank you. I'm not going to go too much into fats because I am a fats nerd, and I don't want to blow your mind with that. The con of this is, people say that the high intake of meat with not much plant-based foods, if not balanced correctly, can lead to inflammation. And like I was talking about earlier on, it's all about the balance of omega-3 to 6. Just because somebody says omega-3, right, or omega-6 doesn't mean healthy fats. What you need to think of is omega-6 as an inflammatory fatty acid, and omega-3 is an anti-inflammatory fatty acid. Typically, all the foods that we eat, or most foods that we eat, have this in, right? It means low quality seed oils and stuff like that. And if we can replace that with avocado oils, coconut oils, and improve the quality of our meat. Think about the life that your meat is eating, yeah? Sorry, the life that your meat that you eat has lived. If it's lived a shit life in a cage, getting fed grains to improve its muscle mass and fed drugs to improve its muscle size, and it's been pushed out to you, the fact that that meat, that animal has stored as through fight or flight responses, so that animal has lived a completely stressed life. So then when you eat that food, it actually stresses you out a little bit. And this is what I'm saying about the balance. Let's say, for example, a chicken. A chicken has very low fat, but the chicken, the fat that the chicken does have on it, because chickens are so poorly fed and they live a terrible life, is excessively high in omega-6. Do you know what I mean? So hopefully you appreciate that and you can actually make better decisions with your meat choices in the future. Another one is processed foods get reduced with the Paleo Diet. Sorry about that. Eliminates processed foods because you're eating whole foods. It eliminates additives, preservatives, which can lead to improved overall health and reduce exposure to potentially harmful substances. You can get into this, really into the weeds of this, especially with regards to reducing testosterone levels and stuff like that. The con of this is finding convenient and quick meal options that fit the criteria can be challenging, leading to more time spent on meal planning and meal prep. My promise at the start of the video, I was going to provide you pros and cons of 5 different ways people eat nowadays in 2024. To summarise, just use what I've said to identify what works best for you. Now, if you were to look at your whole week, let's say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, some days you might be more physically, you might exert yourself more physically, so then the requirement changes. Some days you might be in the office and all that matters to you is 8 to 10 hours of sustained high brain function. If you need high physical performance, you're going to need high carbohydrates. And some of you will sit there and think, oh yeah, but my mate's a vegan and he runs ultramarathons. I don't care. Or my mate's, Breatharian and he can still do all it. Right, look, the men with the world records eat carbohydrates. So if you want high physical performance, eat carbohydrates, right? But if you want high mental performance, brain function, then if you can sort that omega-6 to omega-3 ratio out and just have a little bit of a dive into your knowledge about fats, then that will help you out with the mental performance, the brain function. Gentlemen, that concludes the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Love delivering this. I'm a nerd when it comes to this stuff. Yeah, that's it. See you tomorrow.